Jafada Productions presents In Conclusion, We Digress. The best hour of your life, you'll never get back.
Welcome back to this episode of In Conclusion, We Digress. Hope you guys are doing well, having a good week so far, and getting outside. And as always, we are joined by Tommy, Kyle, Pat, and Mike to talk about sports today. So guys, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
What's up, Dan? How you doing?
Sports. Hey guys.
Doesn't matter how I'm doing. How are you doing, Dan?
Damn
So
right.
goddamn polite, Pat. Look at you.
What
It's
a
like you were
nice
raised
guy.
right or something.
I was going to say, to answer everyone's question, I'm doing better this week, considering that now we're really starting to move towards getting sports back. So we decided to get on tonight and record and talk about all the big news that's been coming out the last couple of days in regards to the return of sports after the 2+ month long hiatus due to the coronavirus. So very excited to have that back. And we'll start our conversation today regarding the return of sports with a sport that is actually, as of tonight, as we're recording on Wednesday, the 3rd of June, yet to be actually voted on by the NBA owners, but the NBA, which they're expecting to actually pass and start coming back in the coming weeks. So definitely want to jump in and talk about that, the new format, all the kind of details there, and talk about maybe some matchups we're looking forward to seeing as it returns, and obviously talk about how the rest of the playoffs will play off from there. So basically, I'll give a brief overview of my understanding of the return. So again, still to be voted on, so not 100% confirmed as of tonight, but they're having 22 teams go to Orlando to participate in basically a 2.5, 3-month long end of regular season and playoff period. So it'll be the 16 playoff teams that were originally in the playoff slots before the season was suspended, and then plus 5 additional bubble teams from the West and the Wizards from the East, who were just behind the Magic in the East for that last playoff spot. So there will be 8 regular season games to kind of decide seeding and figure out where everyone goes, and then it'll go into playoffs. So what are your guys' thoughts on that and it coming back?
Question. I haven't obviously taken a deep dive into the articles and the official statements that have been made. I guess 2 things. Is the imbalance for the West just because the bottom teams were closer to that last wild card spot, number 1? And number 2,
I think they gave them more Western teams because it's just an obviously stronger conference.
they all just had like better records overall. And
I think it was they probably did a strength of schedule thing.
Yeah, but to Pat's point, that's also true
let's
because
left.
I think it was separated between the 8 seed and I guess the 12 seed or 13 seed by I think 6 games. So they
Yeah, it
need
was
to
tighter.
decide who would get into
So it
those
was much
last
closer.
couple spots.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
okay. And is the regular season, I guess, resuming, and are both conferences, I would assume, have to play each other since there's going to be an odd number of teams in one conference. And then obviously, or I guess both conferences.
Well, the Lakers and the Bucks are getting a bye, right? And then they're going traditional playoff style from there.
Is that how it is?
Yeah.
So the
No, I think there's
teams that
some
make
regular
it,
season games, right?
that's what we're saying.
Right.
So
So
the regular season games will
games-
determine the 8 and 8.
Correct.
Okay.
So
But
basically,
they
for
won't.
example,
But everybody else
so-
is just chilling.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
It'd be sick if they had like a wild card spot.
We don't need more teams in the playoffs in basketball. It already takes 4 months.
There's already a lot.
No. I'm talking about take interchange one of the places, like the 9th place and the 13th place for a wild card.
Well,
Why
two
not? That
quick
spices
points.
things up. That gives the Knicks a chance.
The thing,
yeah.
but here's the thing about the NBA. The
You don't want them there.
NBA
Don't kid
is
yourself.
predetermined. It's not like the NHL. It's not like the MLB. You can't come out of nowhere and win an NBA title. That's not how the league works anymore.
It hasn't
not
happened.
possible. I'm
It
sorry.
hasn't happened in a very long
Well, I
time.
mean,
Decades.
Yeah, if you have 3 players that are worth $80 million a year in market cap, no, it's not possible.
it's a combination of that. I think we're in a very different era, like Tom said, with just the salary cap and just signing basically the super team era, I would say.
There's also so
that's
many
it.
players that are generationally elite talents right now.
Exactly. And in order, asking a team which is just clearly not as talented, anyone can win a game, but asking
Exactly.
a team that is clearly not as talented to win 4 games and out out of 7 in a series that, I don't know, clearly favors one side. It's just
Especially when they're not going to be home either. You're not going to do it.
it's I would say that in the NBA, home court advantages I would consider it more of an advantage than, let's say, I don't know, baseball. But yeah, Dan, go ahead.
No, well, so I just wanted to, finish kind of your question before about the regular season stuff and give an example. So
Sure.
The reason that in the East, for example, that the Wizards were invited is because as things stood, once the season was suspended, the Wizards were actually 6.5 games out behind the Magic. And there was no one else behind them who was even remotely close to a playoff spot. So they were like the only bubble team, if you will, in the East. So I think the NBA wanted to give them a chance to come in if they can, get hot out of the get-go and potentially, step in for Magic in the 8th seed. That's something that they wanted to allow to happen. And to Tom's point really quick, and then I'll let you guys go. One of the things that we're still unclear that might be coming tomorrow in the announcement officially is your point about the wild card, Tom. There actually might be a structure where instead of Eastern Conference playoffs and Western Conference playoffs, they just have 1 through 16 interspersed between conferences, so that you could have like the Bucks be the 1 seed, the Lakers be the 2 seed, and yeah, that they're talking about that as a possibility. But again, not everything's confirmed, so we know exactly what passes tomorrow. But okay, guys, sorry.
To what you were saying about how like teams, like there was like so many teams in the Western Conference that are getting invited, and there's only the fringe teams. Yeah, like you were saying, the Washington is 6 games behind Brooklyn and 5.5 games behind Orlando, so they're pretty tight in there.
Yeah.
And the idea, at least what they're showing right now, is that there's the possibility of a playoff game, of like playoff bracket potential here. So what's going to happen is after they play these regular season games, should a team like Washington move itself within 4 games of the 8th seed, then there's going to be a wild card-esque 2-game series, a best of 2. So I guess it would have to be you'd have to win both.
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly they would do, but they're saying the best of 2, which really doesn't make any sense because
I guess
how do you do it?
Whoever wins 2 games first, that probably, I don't know.
They mean best of 3.
Yeah. I think they need best of 3. This is from
First
the
to
NBA.
2, best of 3. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like the NBA brought in the Wizards there because
they're tired
John
of
Wall is healthy now.
No, because Bradley Beal, they're gonna give him a gimme because he's been going off. And
No, but also John Wall. The only reason John Wall is going to be able to return is because the season was suspended. They want the drama between him and Bradley Beal.
Return of the structure pending. Do you guys have a favorite?
The Lakers.
I mean, like personally, yeah, they're probably gonna win. But
the Lakers. I like LeBron.
I don't like
you just
LeBron,
made me
so I'm gonna
nauseous,
say Bucks.
bro.
Yeah.
It's hard to hate. It's hard to really hate LeBron because he really is a good guy. It's
He's a
easy
genuinely
to hate.
good person and an impressive player.
I hate he does complain about some calls sometimes, but I guess you can when you're the best. But
Yeah.
I hate the media, the essential media focusing on LeBron 24/7.
But I'm sure it was the same way with Jordan when Jordan was playing. I'm sure it was.
Well, the media is much bigger and different now.
Exactly. But it's on scale. I'm sure Jordan got just as much airtime and mention as LeBron gets in the equivalent amount of media.
Yeah.
Perhaps. I mean, obviously I can't speak to that, but
Yeah.
Although
I would just assume.
would achieve more, but
In a much easier version of the NBA.
Yeah.
Don't tell me the players in the NBA back then were as good as they are right now. Please don't tell me that.
don't tell you what.
That the players in the NBA in the 90s were, by and large, not even close to as good as they are right now.
I would say 90s.
Different style of basketball. It's almost a different sport.
90s close. I would say before 80s, yes, Kyle. I think there's still. I mean, because look at your Vince Carter, who they were playing in the 90s, and he's still playing.
Vince Carter, what did he start?
Obviously not as good.
Though? But but he started at the very late. I mean,
yeah, he was like mid to late 90s.
I think if you look at the people that we have right now, we have James Harden, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. All of them have some kind of record in the NBA. They hold an outright record.
I'm not saying that they're not generationally good players, but there's been generations in the NBA where that's happened before too. But they all happen to be able to chuck a ball from a 3-point line and only run 3/4 of a distance of a court.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and play lackluster defense. That's what I'm saying.
they're
It's a
picking the
totally
low
different
hanging fruit when it
style.
comes to
It's
other.
less physical basketball. The time to score.
We're not
far
diminishing the
less
talent it takes to do that because that is freaking
Yeah.
insane.
I'm not
but,
discounting it,
yeah,
but I'm
it's
also saying it's a different game.
yeah.
Fair.
But
I just don't think Jordan faced the level of opposition.
I think you're both up.
Regardless of the game and how it is, I don't think Jordan faced teams that were for scale as difficult as you can face right now in the Western Conference.
No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I think that with the whole record argument is just that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit out there. I mean, think about the three-point record where it's like Ray Allen, Steph Curry's halfway through his career, and he's almost there. Like, people are just taking significantly more threes. Like, that's where you're going to have these numbers come up. There's still, like, a ton of records that'll never get touched and still really important aspects of the game, like rebounding, things like that. Blocks, things that will probably never get touched. I think that you have to look at you look at the 90s and the early 2000s, and that's why you have the players that you have now, because that was the development of those things. So that's why I think a 90s team would be like a 90s, early 2000s team would be able to hold its own against a modern era team, because they're the reason why the modern era guys, because these guys are all born like mid 90s. So that's what they watched growing up, and that's how they developed. Whereas those like 90s guys were still phasing out, like watching very fundamental paint basketball from the 70s and the 80s. So like, I think that it's hard to make that argument that there's no chance, because I think a lot of those teams were excellent, and their fundamental basketball will slow the game down to a point where you have to play defense. You can't just chuck it up from the arc all the time. And like the rebounds would be dominating. Like,
I was gonna say,
there'd be no rebounds.
Defense no longer wins championships.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was a team, if there were 3 teams in the NBA that played defense like any team from the 1990s, it would shake things up for sure.
Isn't that why the Toronto Raptors won last year?
Yeah, they literally won a championship because of defense.
Because they were
the last championship.
Exactly. That's one team that plays defense.
They were kind of. Obviously they had talent, but they were kind of from modern standards, I would say, a surprise.
Yes, definitely. But I also think that it had to do a lot because their talent was so young and people were sleeping on them.
You contradicted yourself there, Pat. You said before that like a bad team couldn't win 4 games out of a 7-game series. You could
they're not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination.
But I'm saying
they were like top 3 all season, I think.
Dude, this wasn't a 2.
Yeah, they were.
I'm not contradicting myself, because 7 seeds don't beat 2 seeds and 8 seeds don't beat 1 seeds. Where in hockey we see that all the time.
Oh yeah, that's why you need to have like such a.
Raptors were not that low.
The Raptors were a 3 or a 2.
I think they were 2.
Yeah,
but they weren't. They weren't any 2 of the LeBron and Steph Curry led dynasties
also,
that dominated the last 10 years.
Also, but they're in the East.
Also, after
LeBron's gone, there was a lot. There's change-ups.
I think you also got to say too that the Raptors get absolutely fucking scraped if the Warriors are healthy.
Agreed.
That's a 5-game series at the most. That wouldn't even be close. And Draymond, by the way, also can we just get this out there? Draymond Green is getting so much praise these days for being so spectacular, and I think ESPN just put him on like their team of the 2010s.
Ridiculous.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Preposterous.
Are you kidding me?
He is a good 2-way basketball player, but he's by no means a leader. He's by no means a star, and he's playing around 2 of the best shooters to ever touch a basketball. So it makes him look pretty damn good. And when they're gone, he's atrocious.
He's a clown.
Okay,
and he's a clown. He is a clown. Like, straight
so something that bothers me too is he's always going after like Barkley or whatever. Like, Draymond doesn't even average what Barkley's like career lows were.
Yeah.
Like it's, I don't know. I understand he's a good role player and whatnot, but he's got a big mouth, which I think is a key to being noticed in the modern NBA.
But I guess if you go, let's do.
It's like people kind of sleep on Kawhi a little bit. I'm not saying that they like really sleep on him because he's still one of the best players in the league.
Not anymore, they don't.
People slept on him for so long just because he like just showed up to work every day, did his job, and went home.
I don't think anyone slept on Kawhi since he won the Finals MVP.
Not since he was a Spur.
Yeah.
So all I'm going to say is Draymond Green did not deserve that spot, and I don't think he deserves the praise that people give him.
Well, let me say this on Draymond, because I agree with you wholeheartedly, Kyle. He doesn't deserve the amount of praise he gets, but I would go as far to say that he is a top 5 defensive player in the league.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely his strong suit, that he's so good on that team because no one else on that team plays defense at all, really, except for maybe previously Andre Iguodala. So the fact that he is kind of the defensive anchor, I mean, it kind of goes unnoticed considering that Steph and Clay put up, 70 shots a game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it can't be understated that he is a really valuable asset to the team from a defensive standpoint, but he doesn't deserve the amount of praise he gets to be an all-round player.
So I think when he really has to shine defensively is when he's in those positions when he's not giving the ball to Steph or Clay. And he actually has to do something.
I wouldn't want him on my team. He doesn't really bring enough to me, and he's a complete lunatic too. And he just loves to get technicals and get tossed. And it's like no one needs – you're a liability.
Say we do East-West. It comes down to an 18 playoff. Hypothetically, we run the numbers as it should go. Bucks, Lakers, right? Bucks, Lakers. Everyone's okay with that?
Probably, barring any unforeseen.
I can't even think of a team in the East that would compete with – like right now, I just don't know.
Maybe the Celtics?
Maybe the Sixers or the Celtics?
Tatum's been on fire.
I would say the Celtics.
Right now, just so everyone knows for reference the standings, so the Bucks are first, obviously. The Raptors are second. The Celtics are third. The Heat are actually fourth. And then the Pacers are fifth. Sixers are sixth. So
Heat are cooking this year, man. Jimmy Butler's on
they've
fire.
had a good season.
Those rookies are killing it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kid they drafted is sick.
Yeah, he's gross.
Yeah.
So I guess, I mean, who is your NBA champion? Everyone knows I'm with the Lakers because I just think it's the truth. Yeah. So, Mike, who for you?
Bucks.
Pat.
My brain says the Lakers. I mean, I think the Clippers could do something.
Maybe, yeah.
The Clippers have beaten the Lakers in the regular season.
Yeah. Dan, who's your champion?
Yeah, again, being an NBA fan for as long as I have and just seeing how the league has developed over the last couple of years, I think you have to say the Lakers. But I think if I were to make a bold prediction, I'll say the Nuggets. The Nuggets
I was going to say that.
Really good.
They're nice. Under the radar for a while.
No one talks about them. They're strong from point guard to center. Jokic is unbelievable. Yeah, no one talks about them. They're a very well built team. They have a strong bench. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be good enough and have the experience to beat the Lakers in the playoffs, but they're only 6 or 7 games behind the Lakers in the regular season, so they're my sleeper pick.
They're going to be my sleeper.
So I was going to say, Tom, who's your non-sleeper? Who's your champion?
I got the Bucks.
I'll say two quick points from me. First of all, I just want to address something that Kyle you said before. That's actually a really good point that I don't think anyone's really talked about any sport coming back, let alone just the NBA. These couple of months off have allowed every single team in sports to get healthy. So you're going into each of these playoffs at pretty much full strength, with the exception of a few people here and there who had long-term injuries.
Or
so that's something that's
5 pounds like Eddie Lacy. Just saying.
Yeah.
now you're thinking in the issue being not being health, but maybe rust. I think it's similar to when you're beginning a season.
Right, but that's why the proposal is calling them for not to start until July 31st, because they want to allow them to have almost 2 months time to actually get back into training camp and play scrimmage game stuff. Yeah,
but that's no substitute for real play, though. I will say that.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
But regardless, from a health standpoint, every team should have full strength, and I don't know. I feel like it's gonna make things interesting, but
no, I mean, I was actually just gonna talk about that. So, should this all go off, right? And this goes until October, which means you're going to bump the regular season a little bit, probably.
Also, that is fucking bullshit. Just saying, there's no reason it should take that long. Continue, Mike.
I know, but that's what they're saying. They're going till October.
I just want to relish my displeasure.
The last day.
That means that, what is that? That's
it makes sense though.
No, but that's 3 teams in the West and 7 teams in the East that are not going to play for 9 months.
Well, if you think about it, the playoffs in the NBA and I guess NHL, if we're talking that style, always take 2 months. And if
this is 3 months.
Yeah, it's 3 months now.
September, October.
No, it's
August, September, and then most of October.
Half of October. But figure these people that all they're doing is nonstop. They're living and doing basketball. There's no travel. There's no travel days. You could theoretically play a basketball game every other day, and there's a limited number of teams. If you can facilitate, I don't know, there's 22 teams by the time you get to playoffs. You have to, as long as you can facilitate 8 games or 4 games a day, you can play every other day for like that entire time.
There's-
once you get to
there's
playoffs.
not
They're
gonna
gonna
be
play. They're gonna
Mhm.
play 9 weeks worth of soccer games in a space of less than a month, and those guys are running a 10K. Some of them, 2 to 3 times a week. You can play 2 to 3 basketball games a week, boys. Come on.
Yeah.
Basketball is like the prima donna sport. Like they are always the issue when it comes to money, when it comes to rest, when it comes to like they invented load management. Like, I mean, obviously there's always been like kind of a load management like thing in baseball for certain positions like catcher, but like there's 162 games. Like you get a day off once in a while.
The biggest thing that I'm interested to see how that unfolds within the NBA is those last 5 slots in the West. So basically the Grizzlies right now are the 8th seed in the West. And then beyond them, the 5 teams that were invited were the Trailblazers, the Pelicans, the Kings, the Spurs, and the Suns. And they're all separated by about 6 games. So do you guys see a scenario where one of those teams out of the 5 I listed is able to jump back up and get in that 8th seed and get in the playoffs? Or do you see the Grizzlies just holding strong and making it as the 8th seed?
Well, that seems like it's going to be the best test in the West. I think that
Best test in the West.
best test in the West, Randy. I think I think if anyone in that last 5 spots can hold, I think, or anyone can move rather, I would definitely think that it would be the Wolves taking out the Suns.
Not the Trailblazers with Dalla Dame and CJ.
No. Why? It's Dalla Dame.
That's what I mean. He's objectively the best player on the rest of the teams.
You think so?
Absolutely. Who do you if you have 3 seconds left and you can give the ball to anyone in the NBA, if you don't give it to Damian Lillard, you're an idiot. He hits shots from the parking lot for fun.
Most buzzer beaters of the 2000s, dude.
They are 8 games under, and the Grizzlies are only 1 game under.
Carmelo
The
Anthony.
Grizzlies are only one.
He's statistically the best buzzer beater shooter of the 2000s, and he's on the Blazers.
So yeah, you got 3J, Dame,
I mean,
and
I
Carmelo.
went against
There we
my
go.
point there, I guess, but I had to bring that up.
Also, Dame did say he's probably just going to sit, so there's no point in
Also,
counting him.
Melo most missed game winner, so there's that.
I'm going to get a Melo jersey, 100%. I want a Melo 00. I miss him. Sorry.
I do too.
And just for context again, so the 3 teams that are closest are the Blazers, the Pelicans, and the Kings. They're all 3.5 behind the Grizzlies when play starts.
No.
They all have the same winning percentage, correct? Or at least
Yeah.
I just don't think the Pels can do it. I mean, I understand that Zion is unbelievable and everything, but Brandon Ingram's pretty good now. But I think when you look at the teams just slightly above them, it's going to be hard for me to trust the Pelicans over anybody there.
So the reason why I'm also going to go with the Grizzlies too is because the NBA is like so predictable, especially with this. Like it's just like the teams that are there are going to be the teams that are still there. Like the NBA is always going to make the popular vote pick for whatever kind of hardware at the end of the season. So
100%.
The NBA is just like it's so badly predictable with a lot of these things, and you hate to see it. And that's why like I do love hockey so much, and we'll get into it. But like hockey, why it is so important to have all these teams. Whereas the NBA, it's like, all right, Damian Lillard's going to sit out because he's like, this is bullshit. Like, I know nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
But before we move, I want to just one very important thing. It's a shout out to my Jimmer jersey that I'm currently rocking tonight.
Yeah.
For those of you at home, I'm wearing a Sacramento Kings Jimmer Fredette jersey that was gifted to me by the one, the only, the Tom Power. But he is actually now a league champion in the Greek league. He won based on the voting system, which the Greek league decided to adopt, a 13-1 for the Panathinaikos team. I completely butchered that. And
sorry, all of Greece.
Correct. Very correct.
Yeah, Panathinaikos.
Okay,
They won the league
that's
championship.
Not what it's called.
And you know who their coach was?
David Black.
Tell me it was Kurt Rambis.
Yeah.
No, it's Slick Rick Pitino.
Shut the fuck
No
up.
way.
Yes, Slick Rick Pitino just won a fucking Greek league title and then jizzed his way back to Iona College.
And Jimmer Fredette also, before that, didn't he absolutely tear it up on the Chinese on the Shanghai?
Yeah, he destroyed the Chinese.
Dude,
Literally
he is
torched
sick.
the Chinese league, yeah.
Yeah, so he won in the Chinese league. He holds the record for the most points scored in a game, the most points scored in a season, most points scored in a career, most field goals made, most field
Not
goals
surprised.
made in a career, second most 3-point field goals. He absolutely like wrecked them.
It's literally like, give me the fucking ball.
Oh no,
or
sorry, that
you're
was
off the
for
team.
his team. Yeah, that
Get
was
out of
for
the way,
his
yeah.
team.
For Shanghai. I'm sure they paid him handsomely because I know that a lot of soccer players are starting to go to China because they're getting paid 500,000 and 600,000 euros a week to play for those teams.
Fellow
Yeah,
New
so-
Yorker, by the way. He's from Glens Falls in upstate New York.
Really?
He averaged 37 points a game,
That's
7
gross.
rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and he was shooting 95% from free
I'm
throw,
so
41% from 3, and
That is
45% from the field.
I'm so upset about
Jesus.
that because I think right before he went to China, he was a Knick for I think a year, maybe 2
He was
years.
a
Yeah, he
G
was.
League.
He was in the
And
G League, yeah.
But he was in the G League, but he did get called up to the actual Knicks, and
He was
he
bad.
never got because he was doing so well in the G League, and he never got a shot. He never. I think it was was it Derek Fisher?
That's pathetic because Ron Baker
Probably.
would get a shot from time to time.
Dude, Ron
Don't you
Baker used to kill
disrespect
it,
Ron
man.
Baker.
Yeah, dude,
Don't
seriously,
you disrespect Ron
get the
Baker.
fuck out of here, you big idiot.
Yeah.
Wichita State boy, yes.
The Shockers.
Oh God. Well, yeah, we should move on from the NBA because I feel like we're gonna keep going down the Jimmer Fredette wormhole and end
We
up
absolutely should get
somewhere.
away from that.
But yeah, logistically for anyone listening, if you're curious, again, as we're recording this, everything hasn't been approved yet, but we're anticipating that the NBA will be approved to return tomorrow. There would be a few weeks of training camp, and then the official return to tip-off would be July 31st, and potential last game would be October 12th. It would be about 2.5 months to finish the NBA season and crown a champion.